I know very well what it's like to have a narcissistic parent. My mother is a narcissist, and she utilized every form of manipulation on me that she did with anyone else in her life. Our relationship also went through the typical stages that relationships involving a narcissist go through. My mother would alternate between love bombing and devaluing me. When she was loving to me, I felt like the most important person in her life. But when she was devaluing me, I felt utterly worthless. It was a chaotic, confusing, surreal life. And it wasn't until I was a little older that I realized the abuse I had endured. That's why it's important to understand the many ways a narcissistic parent will treat their children. Let's take a look at several common behaviors. Number 1. Narcissists have unrealistically high expectations for their children. Narcissists believe themselves to be superior humans, and they expect the people in their life to reflect that belief. That includes their own children. A narcissist believes that their child has to be perfect all the time, or it reflects badly on them. In their mind, if they, the narcissist, are truly superior, then their children should be superior as well. They should know right from wrong without the need for instruction. They should know how to behave in every situation because of their genes, not because someone has taught them what to do. Where training is required, their children should be able to pick up on the lesson almost instantly. And if they don't, it's because they're not paying enough attention. To most parents, these would seem like ridiculous beliefs. But narcissistic parents aren't using logic in their interactions with their children. They are desperate for them to show the world what a great parent the narcissist is. Of course, the narcissist child can't live up to these expectations. No one could. When they fail, the narcissist comes down on them hard. They become incessantly critical and often drive their own children away. Unfortunately, they also do extreme psychological damage to their children. That damage can present a lifelong struggle and can affect every part of their life. Number 2. Narcissists see their own children as extensions of their own identity. Part of the reason narcissists criticize and push their children to project an image of perfection is that they see them as extensions of their own identity. Narcissists rely on other people to boost their self-esteem because they lack the identity mechanisms to do that for themselves. That causes them to see other people as extensions of their own identity. In a way, they are, insofar as they are willing to act in that role. Of course, it's not a healthy relationship, and in the end, it doesn't really help the narcissist. The supply of adoration that a narcissist needs to prop up their self-esteem is known as narcissistic supply. They see their children as potentially lifelong, stable sources of this desperately needed supply. What's more, a child is someone a narcissistic parent believes they can gaslight, lie to, and project to mold them into believing what they want them to believe. That sounds cold, but the narcissist lacks empathy, and for that reason, they don't have an understanding of how their actions affect other people. It became evident to me that my mother thought of me as an extension of her identity when she told me on one occasion that everything I was doing, as I was trying to heal myself, was making her look like a bad mother. Number 3. Narcissists pick a golden child and a scapegoat. Narcissistic parents will play their children against each other. As part of this dysfunctional dynamic, they will pick a favorite child, a golden child, and a scapegoat, someone they will blame for all the family's problems. They blame, criticize, and show little, if any, love to the scapegoat, all while doting on the golden child. The golden child gets the best toys and almost all the attention from their narcissistic parent. In the narcissist's mind, this will make the scapegoat child try even harder to please them. The manipulation makes them feel powerful, even though it doesn't work the way they wanted it to. Most of the time, this kind of treatment causes the scapegoat to leave home early. They feel like they can't wait to get away from the abusive treatment, but that treatment also leaves scars. Scapegoat children often experience lifelong problems with addiction, as pointed out by the experts at drug rehab. While it may seem as though the golden child would have it so much better, that often isn't the case. The golden child is at risk of becoming a narcissist. They also often fall into codependency. The narcissist tells them they are better than other people, but they harshly criticize them and control their every move. Number 4. Narcissists treat their children like possessions. Narcissists also fiercely believe that their children are their property. They fly into a narcissistic rage if you try to approach them about how they are treating their child. Because they see their children as mere extensions of their own identity, they have no problem seeing them as their property. They not only don't see their children as their own person, but they also don't want them to be independent. They want their children to remain dependent on them for the rest of their life. They want them to provide them with narcissistic supply for the remainder of their life. They may even see their children as potential replacements for spouses who are more independent and not as reliable. This is particularly true for narcissistic mothers with their sons. They groom them to be spousal replacements, particularly as they grow older. Growing old is extremely difficult for a narcissist since age undermines their image of perfection. Their children may be the only stable, loving presence in their lives. Many narcissists rely heavily on them to boost their self-esteem and do other tasks normally performed by a spouse. Number 5. Narcissists gaslight their children to keep them confused. Narcissists gaslight other people to keep them confused, and this includes their own children. Gaslighting is one of the most insidious, toxic forms of manipulation around. It makes you doubt your own reality and intuition. I remember my mother gaslighted me so frequently that I honestly thought I was going insane. I thought I must be seeing and hearing things because I would clearly hear her say something, but she would assure me angrily that it never happened. I knew I had heard her say it, but she kept telling me she didn't. I was a child, and she was my parent, so it was natural that I would believe her. I had no other choice but to think that I must somehow be hallucinating these things. It wasn't until other people began to confirm for me that I had heard what I thought I heard that I finally started to realize my mother was the one with the problem. Still, she would insist that she hadn't meant what she said in the way I interpreted it. It wasn't until much later, after many personal growth workshops, that I finally began to fully understand the damage done by her gaslighting. I felt as though I couldn't trust my own intuition, and that did affect the choices I made in my life. Number 6. Narcissists use triangulation to disrupt their child's relationships. Another extremely disruptive tactic narcissists use to manipulate and control their children is something called triangulation. This is playing both ends against the middle. They will tell their child one thing and another family member or friend something entirely different. For example, a narcissistic mother may tell her child, "I would let you, but your father doesn't want you to have those kinds of opportunities." Then she tells her husband, "I told her she couldn't do that, and that is final. If she comes to you, you should tell her the same." This undermines trust between the child and the other parent, sibling, or friend. It makes the child suspicious of anyone in their life because of the lies their narcissistic parent is telling them. It is perhaps one of the saddest manipulation tactics the narcissist uses. It destroys what might otherwise be lifelong supportive relationships. Relationships with siblings, the other parent, and friends are ripped apart. Number 7. Narcissists routinely lie to their children. As has probably become very clear by now, Narcissistic parents have no problem lying to their children. They will tell them anything they need to tell them to manipulate and control them. They don't care how it affects the child as long as they can get their needs met. I remember the shock and anger I felt when I would catch my mother in a lie. Of course, she would gaslight me and downplay the situation. She would claim I hadn't heard what she had actually said, or that I had somehow distorted what she said. The truth was that she had outright lied to my face. It was shocking, infuriating, and disappointing all at once. I couldn't believe she would do that, but I knew she had. But no matter how I confronted her with her lies, she would simply deny them or somehow blame them on me. It's very difficult for children to develop a sense of morality when they have a parent who behaves like this. They often end up having problems with the law since they have not developed a sense of integrity. They were never taught to do so by moral parents. In the end, narcissistic parents are among the worst kinds of parents. They are emotionally abusive and can become physically abusive as well. They create devastating emotional wounds that a child has to live with, often for the rest of their life. The damage a narcissistic parent does to their children is often worse than any other kind of abuse because they make a child feel worthless and they undermine their ability to trust their own senses. They often become prey for other dysfunctional relationships as adults. If you've been subjected to narcissistic abuse, you can heal. The first step in that direction is to learn to recognize, diffuse, and even heal your emotional triggers. Emotional triggers result from emotional wounds created in childhood. My 5-step roadmap to heal emotional triggers can help you to identify, diffuse, and heal those wounds. That can stop a narcissist from continuing to use them to abuse you. And from there, you move on to other healing growth. If you would like a copy of this free guide, just click on the link below the video and I'll send it directly to your inbox. You can get started on your healing journey today. Thanks for watching.